We have the fabulous, awesome Matt Holway here to talk about the power and pitfalls of SASE. Can everyone give it up?
Welcome. So I'm Matt Holway. I'm Director of SASE Product Management for Lumen, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing and how we're transforming traditional SASE services, and also some of the pitfalls that we've seen from customers as they've gone on a SASE journey. So the original SASE is more of as you kind of look at it, is a combination of network and security services, traditional SD-WAN services, lots of security like ZTNA, CASB, next-gen firewalls, right? So this was a combination of being able to converge traditional network and security services together, right, and create a unified framework with a single pane of glass to provide all of these services. And that's done well, right? And you can put in policies in place to be able to support, whether it's capacity changes, issues with, events with your network for security services. But you look at it as you put those in, and then it's very reactive after that. And so we kind of look at it as we're starting to see and looking at areas where AI can help us go from reactive to be more predictive, and start moving towards AI-powered solutions, not only for those network services, capacity planning. Can I identify micro trends in my capacity that I need to update it? Can I see that there's anomalies on my network that I may be losing connectivity, so we can kind of start preemptively making changes there, opening tickets, et cetera. So there's a reactive component, but ultimately you can start predicting problems. You can be proactively fixing those problems, even with ZTNA, and we're going to talk about one of those that we do at Lumen today around security services and threat intelligence on the network and being able to actually mitigate problems before they happen. But you look at it, it's all data driven, right? We own the network, we provide that service on top of it, so we have a different view. You can take components of just the SASE piece, but having that underlying network and owning one of the largest backbones in the world with the most peered network in the world, it gives us insights beyond just that top level service, but being able to actually bring in those networking components. So where we actually started, I think if you've been here before, you can see we have Black Lotus Labs, right? This is our sort of one of our threat intelligence organizations. So they utilize AI services in our lab to be able to find threats, issues, see trends across the network, and they will actually look at things up to 200 billion net flow sessions daily, tracking multiple millions of threats on a daily basis, and actually we're disrupting monthly issues on the network. And what we do is, and we'll talk about it in a second, but it gives us the ability, again, to take that underlying component and actually start then adding in threat intelligence that can then drive the SASE automation to be able to actually take in the overlay network and actually provide that security mitigation. So with rapid threat defense, this is what we do that we have kind of bundled in with our Lumen SASE footprint. So it gives us the ability to again, see that extensive global threat visibility from our network. We can do threat evaluation and scoring, identify issues that can happen, and then what we can actually do is then that will actually then drive policy changes on that SASE. So it gives you that ability, again, to automate blocking of threats before they happen, before the customer even knows, right? And it's all done through AI. So kind of switching gears here a little bit, talking about some of the pitfalls that we've seen from a SASE deployment for our customers. As customers have traditionally gone from MPLS networks more towards SASE services, DIA and others, there's gaps in security issues that they're not taking into account. Your security zones are changing, right? You're not necessarily bringing everything back to a single data center and doing threat, next-gen firewalls, things there. Now you're doing things like local branch offloads, and all of a sudden you have to worry about security not just at a data center, but you have to start looking and thinking about the security more at the branch locations as well. And we've seen a lot of customers are like identifying gaps in the security and what their original intent of what they want to deploy. Kind of jumping down a little bit, I'll also say is we've seen a lot of customers that just want to jump right in, right? They're just sort of like, hey, we just want to kick this off. We're going to get our MPLS network out, and they're not paying attention to the macro trends of what it is they want to do to transform. They just want to start shipping gear out and almost look at it as hey, we'll put generic configurations out there, and then we'll build it on the backside. And what happens is you can start down that path, but as soon as you realize that there's potential course corrections, that hey, we didn't do that right, then you've got rework, you've got, again, course corrections, you have delays in adoption, so it delays the actual migration process. So when we kind of start looking at some of the important steps of where we can go, we look at it as we need to conduct and evaluate the state of your network. What is it you're doing? What are the applications you're using? What are the business needs and goals that you want to attain?
Yes.
One of the things from an evaluation standpoint I'll say is we have almost every customer always ends up having some application they weren't even aware of that we're working. So as we transform from, say, MPLS, and we start putting in SASE SD-WAN services, that site gets cut over and they're like, hey, my application X stopped working. Right? All of my users are complaining. We're like, what application is that? That wasn't on the list as we did discovery of what your network looks like. So those are the things that being able to evaluate the current state of the network and actually do a full design and implementation model, again, will keep you from doing that rework model or having to then have an issue where you actually have customers going down. And then identifying the right SASE features that work for you. You may looking at the security side of things, maybe you don't want the SD-WAN services, you want more of the SSE components. Those are things you can do. Maybe it's ZTNA for remote access. So you can take components, you don't have to take everything. And you can build on what is important to you. And the nice thing is if you decide that you want additional services in the future, those can actually then be added on at a later date. And then honestly too is every customer's different. Right, so everyone has nuances and little changes. Develop a tailored and flexible solution. Right, is we can help provide a solution that fits you. We don't look at it as a cookie cutter approach of just getting devices out and getting you up and then walking away. It's how do we make sure that it's fit for what your needs are. It's not a snowflake conversation. We don't want everything but we have best practices of how we can deliver your service, and then at that point, then you can then do customization on top. All right. So that was quick and dirty. That was it. That's it.